For decades, Antarctica was a realm of ice, isolation, and unyielding cold.
Then, modern imaging revealed something impossible. A massive, forbidden crater.
Roughly 40 miles wide, it defied the accepted rules of terrestrial geology.
Initial surveys dismissed the massive hole as a simple, high-velocity meteor impact. But key geophysical data around the site was inexplicably missing from the records.
Thermal scans showed something unusual, a persistent internal heat anomaly.
Furthermore, strange, metallic reflections were captured glinting from the depression's depths. This combination of anomalies placed the forbidden crater under immediate, high-level restriction.
Expeditions were eventually launched, funded by classified, unnamed global entities. Access was granted only to specialized teams, protected by an iron perimeter. Ground-penetrating radar was the only way to pierce the multi-kilometer ice layer. The initial scans returned readings that defied all known, natural geological processes.
The heat signature was confirmed, but its source was not magma, but something mechanical.
The crater itself was a massive basis of dark rock, not just a shallow ice bowl.
Sensors began detecting intermittent, powerful bursts of electromagnetic energy. The armed presence on the rim grew larger, more noticeable, and more hostile.
Teams were ordered to maintain strict distance from a central point within the depression.
Deeper scans began suggesting the presence of something immense and perfectly structural.
Small pieces of metallic remnants were recovered, unlike any terrestrial alloy. Analysis showed extreme hardness and an impossible crystalline structure.
Attempts to drill down and retrieve larger samples were met with immediate, violent failure.
Footage from the crater walls captured what appeared to be carved, smooth entrances.
These openings bore the definitive marks of deliberate, non-geological excavation.
In high-resolution stills, researchers captured reflections of unknown, repeating symbols.
Personnel working near the perimeter began reporting unexplained vertigo and sensory disturbances.
Temporary, complete communication blackouts plagued operations without any obvious cause.
Attempts to explore the crater's depths were repeatedly met with violent, unexpected storms.
Equipment failures were not random. They were targeted and electromagnetic in nature.
One hypothesis: the repeating symbols were not language, but complex, functional circuitry diagrams. The largest, most compelling structures were detected nearly 8 miles beneath the frozen crust. The area became a fully fledged, permanently restricted military no-fly, no-go zone.
The history of high-level Antarctic operations carries its own shadow of forgotten truths.
Early Cold War naval logs hint at unidentified submerged contacts in the vicinity.
The subterranean structure's design appears impossibly complex and non-organic. Even the recovered fragments sometimes appear to hold a faint, internal source of power. The crater seems capable of manipulating its environment, creating localized ice anomalies.
The thermal radiation is structured, radiating from what appears to be massive, parallel heat sinks.
The psychological toll on the few who have come close is documented and severe. Security feeds often fail near the rim, but not before recording brief, unexplained optical events. Seismic monitoring confirms a rhythmic, mechanical vibration deep within the structure. The interior walls show a terrifying uniformity, the result of colossal, unnatural erosion.
The electromagnetic pulse is not interference. It is a clean, deliberate, patterned transmission.
The sheer depth of the crater is far greater than predicted by surface-level estimates. Faced with mounting evidence, primary theories shift to non-human or pre-human origins.
Ice core samples reveal a non-terrestrial dust layer dating back millions of years.
The secrecy surrounding the crater is enforced by men and machines prepared for war. Drones flown over the center often suffer total, sudden mechanical failure. Molecular analysis suggests manufacturing methods entirely outside of human capability.
Others argue for a sophisticated, ancient civilization buried deep by eons of ice. The underlying geometry suggests the housing of an immense, spherical object within the crust.
For those who have seen the initial evidence, the reality is difficult to accept.
The structure is unyielding, resisting the titanic, constant pressures of the Antarctic ice sheet.
One team member claims to have briefly seen a complex, glowing lattice beneath the ice layer.
The site remains under constant, 24-hour surveillance by a rotating military presence.
Radar occasionally picks up fast, unidentifiable aerial contacts entering the zone.
Documents from the Cold War reference a long-term project centered on an anomalous energy source in Antarctica. The heat signature is not static. It appears to be moving or pulsing deep inside the rock. The pulsed energy contains a structured, complex data payload, not just static interference.
Even early explorers charted a massive, dark opening, quickly dismissed as mere myth.
The mystery remains protected by an atmospheric shield, a curtain of unexplained weather. Some theories suggest the phenomena are not technical, but a form of collective, directed consciousness.
The thermal patterns fit the expected heat dispersal of an immense, subterranean power station.
Geological analysis places the site at a precise, powerful nexus point of tectonic activity. Observation reveals a subtle, impossible fact. The massive crater breathes. Near the rim, a few non-geological polished stones have been clandestinely recovered. The transmitted signal contains prime number sequences, a clear indicator of designed intelligence. Occasional, rapid shadow movements are captured, their source never identifiable. The only verifiable figures near the rim are the silent, heavily armed guards.
Even post-war operations involved massive, specialized equipment for deep ice penetration.
Ancient maps hint at this region as a place of terrifying, unknown danger.
Acoustic data suggests the structure is not solid, but comprised of many distinct, massive layers. The atmospheric conditions are deliberately tailored, forming a perfect, perpetual shield. One theory posits a government testing facility, amplifying a natural geothermal process for weaponization. Data suggests the structure is not receiving power, but is actively exporting a colossal energy output.
Operational flights are often forced to abort by sudden, localized air current manipulation.
highly classified sightings consistently described a structured, geometric non-aircraft. The entrances are not left open, but sealed by a rapidly forming, transparent ice barrier. Attempts to capture audio data have been conducted in absolute, unauthorized secrecy.
The only result, a colossal, subaudible groan emanating from the Earth's crust.
The core structure is connected to the surface by a narrow, impossibly perfect vertical shaft.
A sudden, unexplained 1960s evacuation of a major base remains an official enigma.
Sensors detect a consistent, low-level radiation signature from a non-terrestrial isotope.
The isolation is terrifying, the silence absolute, and the proximity overwhelming. The potential consequence of the structure's failure is a catastrophic crustal shift. Internal memos suggest that contact protocol was, at one point, considered and drafted.
Every piece of data is a fragment of a truth too immense to comprehend.
Evidence of colossal, directed energy being used to manipulate the surrounding ice.
The primary structure appears to be a complex facility with many smaller, active thermal points.
The overwhelming odds are clear. The crater actively resists all forms of intrusion.
The tunnels extend deep, descending into absolute, lightless darkness.
Structure is confirmed to actively manipulate the Earth's local geomagnetic field.
On rare, clear nights, observers report subtle, brief flashes of internal light. Personnel describe a palpable, unsettling sensation of being watched, of being anticipated.
Geological history reveals the crater's location was submerged beneath deep, primeval seas.
The floor is not natural rock, but a processed, uniform, light-absorbing material.
The scale of the phenomenon dwarfs all human attempts at control or comprehension.
The official strategy is clear: permanent, total containment and denial of access.
On occasion, a localized, painful sonic event forces personnel to abandon the perimeter.
The few artifacts recovered are kept in maximum security containment, shielded from the world.
The transmission is a signal, potentially directed toward a known, deep space astronomical coordinate.
Fissures in the surrounding ice sometimes reveal a faint, cold blue internal light.
The inescapable conclusion of all the data. The vast structure was here before the continent froze.
Massive piping networks appear to distribute energy and heat across a vast, hidden territory.
Those who guard the secret are bound by an oath of silence and a commitment to perpetual denial.
Scientific teams are now forced to study the site from a massive and growing distance.
The symbols etched into the rock walls remain the only tangible language of the entity below.
All current attempts to interpret the complex, structured pulse have ended in complete failure.
The forbidden crater sits, a dark, silent eye in the world's most desolate continent.
The official classification remains unchanged. Threat level high, true contents unknown. The combination of evidence defies all simple explanations. It is technological, ancient, and alive. Military perimeter holds, maintaining its eternal, tense vigil over the unknown. The instant the drone attempts to look too closely, the shield descends, blinding the eye.
Even in containment, the metallic fragments still display a subtle, latent activity.
Miles beneath the frozen surface, the structure pulses, waiting for its own unknown cycle.
From hidden facilities, the world's most powerful instruments continue their silent, desperate watch. The history of those who tried to look in Sif is one of failure, loss, and retreat.
One day, the rhythmic transmission ceased, replaced by a deafening, inexplicable silence.
The silence now is perhaps more unsettling.
What truly lies inside the Forbidden Crater remains the coldest, most compelling mystery on Earth.
And until the restrictions lift, the secret of the 40-mile-wide hole will remain forever buried.